tip and a backhand across. That one deflected wide. Konechny spills down with 6. Puck still loose. Nosek keeps it moving. The NHL's all-time win record now belongs to these Boston Bruins. They win their 63rd game of the season. 63, 12, and 5, and still 2 games on the schedule for the 22-23 Bruins.
Just remarkable.
"20 seconds remaining. The Golden Knights start to celebrate on their bench. The silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Stanley Cup!
What the puck is going on?
This is what the puck is going on for Saturday, February the 24th, 2024. You're looking at the entire NHL slate for this Saturday, maybe a peek to Sunday, and we'll try to see what we can find on this menu. We'll go through the standings first, take a look at the injuries as well, but I believe we do have Nephew Dave joining us on the line now from his Norfolk studios. What's up, Dave? How's it going, man?
Doing well, sir. Good morning to you.
All right, you excited for a fun day of NHL hockey here?
Yes, starting at noon, we've got a nice slate here. Some interesting games to get to, Steve.
All right, let's get right to it then. We'll go through the standings first, as we always do. Just go ahead and take a look at that. Where we left off last week, Florida was right up there at the top, but they have regressed a couple of points now, and Boston has taken back over the Atlantic lead with 80 points now. Florida in second with 78. The Panthers remain hot, 8-2 overall in their last 10. As are the Maple Leafs, winners of 6 in a row now. Your hottest team in the NHL? No, not really. Not at 6 wins. We'll get to that team in a second. But the Maple Leafs, 8-2 in their last 10, 72 points for them, and they're playing very well. As are the Red Wings, also in the Atlantic, 66 points for them. They've won 3 in a row. The Lightning, Dave's Lightning, have gone a little bit cold here. They've lost 3 in a row now. A couple of wins in a row for the Sabres, 4 losses in a row for the Canadiens. And the streaks continue in the NHL as we've seen several streaks here in the last few weeks looking at the standings. In the Metro, the Rangers, winners of 9 in a row now, Dave. 9-1 overall in their last 10. Carolina trying to keep pace, but they've lost a little bit of ground even though they've won 4 in a row and have gone 8-2 in their last 10. The Capitals, how about them? They're hot now with 3 wins in a row, not ready to give up on their season at all. And we shouldn't say it like that anyway. They're 26, 21, and 8, so it's not like they're doing the worst, but 60 points for them. They trail the third-place Flyers, who've been a little up and down here in their last 10 as well, with 67 points for them. The Devils, just when you think that they're going to get some ground, they've lost a couple of games in a row now. They sit in 5th in the Metro. Islanders, Penguins, and the Blue Jackets round out that division. Pittsburgh just can't seem to get anything going consistent-wise. Sent Dave a message on Sunday saying, man, this Penguins team is a tough to watch, as a tough watch, and he mentioned how inconsistent they are, and they have definitely been that. To the Western Conference, how about the Dallas Stars now, losers of 4 in a row, 5-3-2 in their last 10, but they hold on to the top of the Central by just a lone point over Winnipeg and Colorado, as that is always a congested division, and that remains so here with the Central. Winnipeg winners of 2 in a row. The Avalanche 4-4-2 in their last 10. Everyone just seems to be playing mediocre hockey here in the Central. The Blues 6-4 in their last 10. Predators 5-4-1 in their last 10, although they've won 3 in a row. 6-3-1 in their last 10 are the Wild, so maybe they can upsurge again. Losers of 11 in a row are Arizona now, and losers of 3 in a row are the Blackhawks. So much for throwing Nashville in the penalty box, Dave, for me, as they've won 3 in a row now, so they've gotten their way out of that. And in the Pacific, again, more streaks. Vancouver, who's been red hot all year, 10 points clear of second place Vegas, but they have lost 4 in a row now. All right, Vegas also losing 2 in a row. Edmonton has now lost 2 in a row. Those are your top 3 teams there. Trailing Edmonton by 2 points are Dave's new sweetheart, or old sweetheart, but with renewed vigor, are the Kings, as he'll cash a big futures ticket if the Kings can pull home the Stanley Cup. 66 points for them. The Kraken and Flames, a little bit better here in their last 10 for them. Anaheim and San Jose. As bad of a season they've had, they still are playing 500 hockey here in their last 10. So, Dave, what do you take out of the standings so far of what we mentioned?
We've got some interesting stuff going on here. We got a log jam in the East for the wild card. The Caps 5 points back at Tampa Bay with a big win the other night. They draw Florida tonight. That should be a very interesting game, and 2 points where you got to be. It's a feeling in Washington where they've got to have every point they can get. With New Jersey and the Islanders also sitting at 60 points. Pittsburgh is inconsistent as they've been, 58 points. Still hanging around that wild card spot, but figure they're in the same boat as the rest of these teams, where most of these points are going to matter. Everything else there in the East pretty much staying the same, with a little bit of jockeying here between the Atlantic Division, so that should be an interesting finish there. Steve, we are on the LA train, so let's hope that they can pick it up. 66 points, as you mentioned. They're only 2 back from the third place spot, and if that was to happen, they would draw the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round, so it's going to be a tough road for them either way, Steve, but let's hope that they can pick it up. As you mentioned, 6-3-1 in their last 10. Losers their last time out. Look at St. Louis. They could really do us a favor today, too, drawing a tough matchup with the Red Wings. So interesting stuff, Steve, with about 25 to 27 games left here in the season.
And let's take a look at the wild card. Yeah, you mentioned that with the wild card in the East. The 3 teams log jammed. They're trying to catch up to Tampa Bay, who has your last spot right now. Those 3 teams, Washington, New Jersey, and the Islanders, all with 60 points. Pittsburgh with 58, Sabres with 56. You figure Montreal 13 points back, too far out of it. Can't necessarily knock Buffalo out at 56 yet, especially if they can keep stringing some wins together. So we'll see how that pans out as we get into next weekend, and take another look at the standings to see if that group of teams tightens up just a little bit. All right, in the Western Conference right now, your top seed would be Vancouver, Dallas 2, Winnipeg, Colorado 3 and 4, Vegas 5. 6th would be Edmonton, 7th would be the Kings, and then for 8th place, the Blues and Predators both have 62 points. Minnesota with 60, the Kraken with 59, and Calgary with 59. So a little bit of a log jam there too, Dave, in the West.
Yeah. Nashville and Minnesota trying to stay relevant here. They're there, and there's Seattle still fighting, where they had a little bit of a poor start, and we were kind of trying to write them off. They need to put a string of wins together, but they are still there for it, Steve.
All right, so let's take a look at the injuries as we go. And as I mentioned here in the last few weeks, just not as many injuries at this point last season. or this season as there were last season. Let's see if that continues to be the trend. Arizona is definitely a little bit of a banged up team here, so pay attention to that. Buffalo is starting to acquire a few injuries now. Calgary relatively healthy, Carolina healthy, Boston healthy, Chicago getting healthier, and of course getting Bedard back helps them. Colorado, not as many names nearly on the injury list as they've had. Columbus in good shape, Dallas in good shape, Detroit in really good shape. Really just Ville Husto, the goalie, the only one listed for them. Matthew Tkachuk for Florida is a key injury for those guys, but only a pair of players on their injury report. The Kings are relatively healthy, as are Minnesota. Montreal, a little bit banged up, half a dozen players on the injured list. New Jersey, they've been battling injuries all season, but they list 5 players. Islanders and Rangers both healthy. Philadelphia, relatively healthy. 5 players anyway. Pittsburgh, a couple players on the injured list. San Jose and St. Louis, not too bad off. A few injuries there for Tampa. Toronto seems to be one of your more banged up teams, although they're playing very well. Very well. Vancouver starting to acquire a few injuries as well. Vegas, maybe your most banged up team on the list, and the Capitals send TJ Oshie to the injured list. So he'll be out for a little bit anyway. Hopefully they'll get him back in about a week or so. And the Caps could get healthy at the right time too, Dave, if they get some of these. Backstrom they won't get back, but if they get Farabee and Kuznetsov and Dowd and Oshie back sometime soon, and that'll basically put them at full strength.
Yeah, Steve. So we got some injuries are starting to mount up here in this 3-game win streak. Nick Dowd hits the IR. He'll be gone for, got to figure, at least 2 games. Oshie's still undisclosed here. They're still trying to figure out what's going on. If you watched any of their last game, things did not look good for him, as it was a non-contact injury. And those can always be pretty bad, Steve. So we've got some players banged up here. But, maybe, that gives the younger guys a chance. It brings some speed to their forecheck. So maybe not the worst thing exactly, but yeah, a couple guys that you'd like to have out there are not available to us right now. But as I mentioned, the young guys getting their chance. If you look what the Hershey Bears are doing there in the AHL, looks like we're in good hands with the youngsters. So let's see, if a little bit of youth can fire this team up and keep them going in the right direction as they try to push for one of those playoff spots.
All right, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the slate here. Let me get my main computer hooked up here to the lines, as they want me to go ahead and re-verify a few things before I get to the lines. Okay, so we're good to go there. Come on, guys. All right, so yes, starting at noon, Dave, the one game, first one off the bat, and it's a big one for both of these teams as they try to jockey for playoff position. So the Red Wings will host the Blues, minus 144 for them, over 6.5 is the over-under for goals in this game. Let me guess, we don't have any goalies listed for this yet. Nope, I don't see any listed on my end. You may, but a good game here, Dave. St. Louis a little frisky at times. Detroit's been playing very well, a natural over team. What's your take here?
Yeah, Steve, this is a tricky one. Some serious rooting interest here for us, as we need St. Louis to really do us a favor. Plus 120 on the money line. Detroit minus 142. And the way these two teams, go at it, Steve, you would think over 6.5 at minus 110 would be the play here. You mentioned goalies, and I have none, as usual. It seems like they don't like to give us Saturday goalies there, Steve. I don't know what's going on with that. But
Yeah, especially when there's a light card the day before, they don't go ahead. I mean, they really do hold out to the last second. Some of these teams in the NHL with their goalies. But go ahead, Dave.
yeah, it would be nice because I had goalie props in one of my parlays that ended up getting home the other day. So you like to play the goalies sometimes, but most of the money coming in here on Detroit, Steve. They're the hot team. If you wanted to take a plus number, I maybe would think about them on the 60-minute line. But with two teams there in wild card positioning, you got to think a lot of these games coming up, Steve, the rest of the way, the rest of the 25 games or whatever it may be, we're going to start seeing some playoff games before we get to the playoffs, if that makes any sense to you. So I would maybe even look at a plus 320 overtime play here as well.
Interesting. Yeah, not a bad angle. You're right. That's kind of what my first thought was, is that this could be somewhat of a playoff type of atmosphere just because of the stakes at hand with both of these teams kind of in a lower pack of the playoff race, looking to improve themselves. We mentioned Detroit as being a naturally over team, giving up a lot of goals and scoring a lot. They are flat even money for over 3.5 goals today. I'm wondering if that could get there, but man, why does this definitely sound like a 3-3 game going into overtime, Dave? Like you said, over 2.5 for the St. Louis Blues is at minus 164. I think at the end of the day, it's a no play for me. But if I do take a risk on this, it may be on the side of Detroit at over 3.5. I just don't want to see that ticket go south. If I'm going to string together a day-long parlay, I'm not so sure I want the first play for Detroit to be able to get 4 goals and an early start where both of these teams could come out a little sluggish. St. Louis can bring you down too. It's not like they're an over team, really. They kind of will slow you up at times as well. So I think at the end of the day, it's a no play for me on this one.
Yeah, Steve, you make a really good point there. You have one team, natural over. St. Louis, they don't, when I think of lots of goals, they're not the first team to come to mind. You could very well see a 3-2 type of game here as well. So kind of tough to handicap here, but I think your team totals are good as well. And I think if you wanted to get frisky and kind of take a chance, I would make, if you're going to go day long with it, which, I probably will, I wouldn't put the draw in there. I would put that in a different ticket. But that really does bring some interest over here for me, Steve.
Two teams struggling in New Jersey with a 2:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time face-off as we have stagger starts all throughout the day. With the Devils and the Canadians, again, the Devils losing a couple of games in a row. The Canadians have lost 4 in a row. The Devils are the heavy favorite here at minus 245, over under 6.5. Just by, if you go by last year, I mean, it looks like it would be a layup for New Jersey to win this game, but I'm not so sure. They haven't proven that they can put the throttle down at any point of the season here. So again, I mean, I'd be reluctant to lay any kind of puck line on Jersey or anything like that. I think minus 245 is going to be a little expensive for me to get involved with. No goalies listed again on my part. If you look at the team goals here, Montreal is at over 2.5, minus 116. The Devils are at over 3.5 at minus 154. So you still have to lay a lot of juice there on Montreal. But Canadians do give up a lot of goals. They are, let's see, just one of 3 teams that have allowed over 200 goals in the season. Anaheim and Chicago are a part of that as well. New Jersey has allowed 196, so it's not like they're super great. So I guess if I have any lean, Dave, here, it would just be on the flat over 6.5. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Steve, I think that's probably the most sensible play. I like that a lot. Both of these teams can score. As you mentioned, the Canadians, they give them up quite a bit But the thing is the Canadians can be pesky. You know, they can win a game that they have no business winning when everybody thinks that they're going to get stomped on. So
exactly.
I like your overplay. I think that's the best one to put in your your all day ticket. But again, we're going to talk about the frisky side here, and I think that I could somehow, somewhere, see myself playing a Canadians money line ticket here at plus 190. Maybe trying to catch the Devils sleeping there at 2 p.m. But again, you know, they're pesky. We've seen them do it to Washington a couple times, Steve, where I think we only won one of three against them this year. You know, they can be a problem. So I would watch out if I was New Jersey. The over, the better play on the board here. But we're going to play devil's advocate a little bit, and we're going to go frisky with the Canadians.
Let's look at that. All right, nephew Dave with the upset already here with Montreal, potentially. Going up to Nassau on Long Island, two teams that are struggling again here, the Islanders and the Lightning. Now, again, the Islanders here, they've given up a ton of goals, 191. They've only scored 165. Tampa Bay is one of those naturally over teams again. 198 scored and 198 against goal-wise for them. But again, losers of 3 in a row. Why do I just have the feeling that Tampa Bay can get the ship right here in Nassau? It is a 2:10 p.m. Eastern Standard face-off. It is flat, minus 110 on both sides, over under 6.5 here. I would have to lean Lightning in this one, Dave. What about you?
So I'm going to go right down the middle here, and I'm going to go under 6.5 at minus 110. You always think of the Islanders as kind of a more of a defensive team. And I tell you, I don't like what I've seen out of Tampa Bay as of late. Yes, I think they can win this game, but their play, you know, they don't seem to have it at this.
It seems like it's a tough spot too. It's not the best spot here on a Saturday.
No, it is. It's a tough spot against a team that is, you know, fighting for their life, and they're not going to just give it to you. So I think this is another playoff atmosphere, and I think we get an under total here.
Can the Rangers keep rolling in Philadelphia? They'll be at the Flyers today. The last time I picked on the Flyers a couple weeks ago on a Saturday, it went very well for me with the Bruins. And I could see almost the same thing here with the Rangers, who are minus 137, over under 6.5. I'll come back on Philadelphia is at plus 114. The Rangers on the season have scored 193 goals. They've given up 158. So those are good stats for them on both sides. Philadelphia kind of on the lower side of goal scoring on the average. They've only scored 170. They've given up 166. They've been right about 5. They've been 500 exactly here in their last 10 with just the one overtime loss, 5-4-1 over that stretch. Again, the Rangers just red hot here. And that outdoor game against the Islanders just seems to, you really know things going your way when you can come back from behind, hit your rival in the Stadium Series in overtime. And I just think the Rangers can keep rolling here, Dave. 137 seems cheap to me. I don't think this game even gets to overtime either. So on the 60-minute line, if you like the Rangers at plus 110, I think that's fair game. So give me the Rangers on the three-way 60-minute money line plus 110. What do you got?
Yeah, Steve, that's exactly where I was going to go with this. Division rival for the Caps, but I tell you, we need them today. We need the Flyers to come away with exactly 0 points out of this game. And we've got to take care of business there in Florida and at least get one to try and close this gap a little bit. But yeah, give me the Rangers on the 60, really trying to help our cause here today.
And the Caps, they won some very nice games here in the last couple weeks here since the All-Star break has come off that. Plus 188 for the Caps in South Florida, minus 230 for the Panthers. Over under 6.5. Dave, the Panthers are a very, very worthy Eastern Conference contender here. So maybe a little bit too much muscle and youth for the Caps. But what do you got here? Is this a competitive, hard game? You expect Florida to maybe step on the gas pedal here against their rivals? What are you thinking?
All right, Steve. So their last game out for the Florida Panthers, they lost 1-0. Very, very. It's the lowest scoring game you can have. So the Capitals may have found their style a little bit. I think they have found a way to play that the players are starting to buy into, and it's working for them. It's a hard, heavy game. Defensive game. They're throwing their weight around. I fully expect with the way things have gone their last 3 games, and even in the games that they've lost before that, Steve, talking about the Capitals, they started to play very well. They didn't get the result that they quite wanted, but you could see that the effort and the energy was starting to get there, and they were starting to find this way about them, a way that they've been kind of looking for all season with line changes and, personnel coming in and out. But as I mentioned, we have a bright core of young players down there in Hershey just waiting. Oshie goes out. Hendrix Lapierre comes in today. So another young guy with some, legs, fast skater. I would fully expect the Capitals to, at least hang around in this one if they don't win. Again, even a point out of this game would be huge. They have been scoring goals here lately too, so you get a plus 102 out of the over 6.5. Does that happen today? Steve, this is another one of those maybe 3-2 games, 4-2 games. To where it just doesn't quite get there. I wouldn't trust it. The thing that I think I would do here is maybe let's kind of test the waters here against a very good team. Give the Capitals a little bit of trust and go over 2.5 goals for them today.
That's what I was looking at. I see minus 106 on my end. So they're getting pretty good juice on that. Florida's team goals is over 3.5, minus 128. But I would take a chance on the over 2.5, Dave. You're not asking a lot at the end of the day, even against a good team, just to get the 3 goals. So give me that. And man, why do a lot of these games feel like they could be overtime games as well? I might have to do something with all the overtimes, kind of wrapped in some kind of weird round robin at the end of the day. But I'll take a chance on the Capitals over 2.5. What was that? I'm sorry.
I said, if you end up doing that, shoot me a text and let's go joint style.
All right, yeah, all right, 10-4. All right, so the Caps playing hard will give them a puncher's chance down there in South Beach. Let's see here. On to the evening slate, as that is a matinee, we'll call that. But we have 3 games at 7 o'clock, 1 at 8, and then 4 games there to round out the evening at the 10 o'clock window. So the first game at 7:10 is a good one. Boston and Vancouver. Boston minus 105. Over under is 5.5. So the Canucks are a slight favorite at minus 114. Boston 4-3-3 in their last 10. 4-5-1 for the Canucks. So neither one of these playing their best hockey at the moment. But 5.5 seems like it's going to be low here. Now, I get it. Both of these teams have been very stingy defensively. Just 164 goals allowed for Vancouver, just 158 allowed for the Bruins. So those are some of your better numbers in the NHL as far as goals allowed go. But as far as scoring goes, they are as good as it gets, really. 215 goals scored for Vancouver. That leads the league. 197 for the Bruins. So 5.5 is going to seem like a low number to me here. The over is juiced to minus 134, But go ahead and give me over 5.5 in this game. And if I'm going to get creative here, I can get plus 122 for over 6.5. What do you got?
So yeah, Steve, this is a tough one. This is two of the best going at it. So yeah, you get that 5.5 number. You kind of have to, Steve. I certainly understand that play. But again, you have to keep in the back of your mind, two of the best going at it. This could very easily be a low-scoring game as well. Goaltenders heating up.
Yeah, this very well could be an NHL Stanley Cup preview.
Oh, 100%. It certainly could be. This might be another good one to play a little overtime action here, Steve.
Yeah. We might have to play around with that for sure. Both of these teams' team goals are at over 2.5. Heavily juiced, minus 160 for the Rangers, minus 172 for Vancouver. But I'm going to go ahead and say that this gets to 3-3, and they do get to overtime. So give me over 6.5 at plus 122. I'll go ahead and throw that on my ticket that I've been accumulating through the morning here. No goalies listed for me on this game either as well. All right, let's get to let me make sure I'm not missing a game
either. I guess we're not going to get that.
Let me make sure I'm not skipping a game. Okay, I have not. All right. Vegas is at Ottawa, and Ottawa is the favorite here, minus 118 for Ottawa, over under 6.5. So recent form goes for these two teams. Ottawa is 6-3-1 in their last 10, so they are streaking very well. 5-5 for the Golden Knights here. Again, the Knights won a little bit more of an injured team here at this point of the season. But I don't know, man. I feel like the wrong team's favored here, but the odds makers have the Senators favored for a reason. So that's going to be enough to scare me away on what I would otherwise say would be a day for Vegas to come out and have a good game. Now, Vegas to get to 4 goals is at plus 136. I think I'd like that better if they were at over 2.5. Ottawa over 3.5 is at plus 118. Why does this game kind of stink of an under maybe as well? Vegas allowing just 161 goals on the year. They've only scored 183. Ottawa, they've allowed 190 but have scored 182. So that would favor Vegas to score goals here, but this line is just fishy, Dave. I don't know what to make of it. So for that, I'm going to stay away. What about you?
Yeah, Steve, this is interesting how the numbers are falling here. I took a look at this game last night, too. Steve, I'm not sure here. Senators, we've talked about before, being pesky as well. Vegas going into Ottawa, overs at minus 105. You would think this is a game for the Knights, Steve, but the numbers don't say that, so there's probably something to it. Give me kind of a shootout here, and I'll go ahead and take the over at a decent minus 105 price.
Another game that I think could very well have a lot of goals, again, will be this game in Colorado tonight with Toronto coming in, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This could be a Stanley Cup preview in itself. Dave, I must admit, I was playing around with some NCAA and some NBA futures and NHL, and I went ahead and threw Toronto in a future in that regard. They're just playing very, very well. I gave out a good goal scorer last week. I said, hey, Austin Matthews, take a look at him today. And he went ahead and put 3 goals in the net where he had back-to-back hat tricks for the Maple Leafs. So the goal scorer I gave you last week came through with easily flying colors with 3 goals for Austin Matthews. I expect a good output by both of these teams here tonight, Toronto and Colorado. I do like the Colorado overs when they do play these better teams like Florida and Toronto in this case. And you know what? If I'm going to bet over 8.5 on a weird alternative line, I'm going to get plus 260 for it. Again, another game that could go to overtime where I could see these teams tied at 4 each going to extra time tonight. But give me an over in this Toronto-Colorado game. What do you got?
I'm going to keep this one very, very simple. This should be a good game. I love the overplay for you here. But the Maple Leafs are getting a plus 100 number on the straight up money line. 160 on the 60-minute line. I think you choose between the two. And the Maple Leafs get it done on the road, Steve. So we're going to go with another upset here of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And if you like Toronto to get over 3.5 goals, you'll get plus money as well at plus 120. Maybe the safer route if Colorado just, no pun intended, avalanches the Toronto netminder. Over under 3.5 is the Colorado goals for them. All right, so it looks like we have some good plays so far. Let's see if we can keep it going. Another good game. Again, another potential Stanley Cup preview. Dallas and Carolina tonight. Dallas, the short underdog, plus 114 at Carolina, who's been great at home, minus 137, over under 6.5. Carolina really does have a nice atmosphere at home. 19-6-4 overall at home they are. The Stars, though, away. How about this for an away record? 17-8-5. But again, they've lost 4 in a row, although they not really been waxed here, I don't think. They played competitive, hard games here again, but the slate just doesn't get any easier at Carolina tonight. This is a game in which I could see being an under game. Now, Carolina has only allowed 158 goals. They've scored 188. Dallas has scored as many as anyone, 213, allowing just 178 themselves. But I'm wondering if just the way Carolina plays at home, that this is going to be a little bit more tough sledding for them. So I'm going to shy away from the over here of 6.5. Good, hard game. I think a pass for me at the end of the day. But what do you have?
All right, Steve, so let me ask you this, see if I'm completely crazy here. Could you see these two teams, two of the better teams in the league, could you see this game going to overtime at plus 330?
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly could.
And if that's the case, we're going to take advantage of the Stars, a little bit of a slump.
Yeah, we're on overtime watch here for a lot of these games here, aren't we?
We are. I think we may have a joint ticket cooking here, Steve. But give me the Hurricanes minus 135 on the straight up money line if we're thinking OT. The Stars get their point, but fall a little bit short. Carolina wins straight up minus 135, whether it be in overtime. You can get plus 105 for the 60, but I feel a little bit more comfortable on the straight up money line. So give me the Canes at home and a possible OT game here.
Let's get to the late slate. Calgary and Edmonton will be the first one of those. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is that game. Edmonton is minus 184, over under 6.5. Calgary plus 152. Calgary trying to make a surge and a push to get into the playoff mix. Edmonton can always improve their standings as far as they're concerned with their slow start that they had at the beginning of the season. Now they have leveled off a little bit. Edmonton, they're not nearly as hot, 5-4-1 again in their last 10. But Calgary has won 2 in a row. I think Edmonton is the better team at home here. So I would look at them potentially, but I'm not so sure the price is right for me at minus 184. So if I go ahead and take that to the 60-minute line, I'm getting minus 125 for Edmonton at home. And I think I like that the best. As far as the team goals go, Edmonton over 3.5 is at minus 128. Calgary over 2.5, minus 138. But go ahead and give me the Oilers on a 60-minute line here, Dave. What are you thinking?
So I'm going to go with Edmonton here on the puck line, minus 1.5 at plus 130. Flames trying to get their stuff together, and they're doing a decent job of that for sure. But I do believe Edmonton losers their last time out, losing a tough one, a very entertaining game there. And I think that they're just ready to kind of make a statement and a little bit of a bounce back game here. So give me the Oilers at, like I said, plus 130 on the puck line. I think they can get it done by 2 or more today, Steve.
All right, shame on me for picking on the Predators. They taught me a lesson not to pick on them. They'll be in San Jose tonight, minus 225 for Nashville, over under 5.5 here. So if you can't beat them, join them, Dave, is kind of what I'm thinking here. And the total goals for Nashville over 3.5 is at minus 116. The Sharks' total goals over 2.5 is at minus 102. But the Sharks give up plenty of goals. There's no doubt about that. They've given up 211 on the season. That's about as bad as it gets. Nashville, not exactly an over team or an under team. They've allowed a few more goals with a minus 7 goal differential. But those 3 wins in a row are key for me in this handicap, Dave. I'll go ahead and take the Predators over 3.5 team goals for them since San Jose is so leaky. The Sharks may keep this competitive, but I think Nashville can get their own, and I'll take them over 3.5. What do you got?
So Nashville, a very nice win their last time out, beating the Kings by 1 in LA, fighting for their playoff lives. I'm going to put a little bit more trust in them. This is a really, really nice spot for them to get 2 more points and really, really make things interesting out west as we start to come down the stretch. So give me the Preds on the puck line of minus 1.5 at plus 110. Again, we're gonna bring out the trust factor here, Steve. Does this game get over? That makes me nervous. I don't typically think of these two as playing the over. So give me the Preds on the road on a big 2 points that they need as well. And I think this is a spot set up for them to really, really take advantage of one of the worst teams in the league. So I think that they're more than capable, Steve, of winning this game by 2. Give me a plus number there with the Preds on the puck line.
And the 60-minute line on minus 140, I think I actually might like that a little bit better than the 3.5 goals needed for Nashville on their team goals. So give me the 60-minute line there. Again, we haven't really looked at too many games that could have a margin for a victory. But I think I agree with you where Edmonton and the Predators could both win by several goals here this evening. Minnesota, can they stay hot at Seattle? Minnesota plus 112. You're getting a plus price for them. Over under 5.5. The Kraken are at minus 134. Seattle is that in that group of teams with Minnesota right there neck and neck. 1 point separating them from trying to crawl into the last playoff spot. Seattle 3 points out, Minnesota just a point out. Both of these teams playing decent over in their last 10. Minnesota, 181 goals scored, 191 against. Seattle has been somewhat of an under team here, 157 scored, 161 against. You don't think of Seattle as an under team because of last season, but that's what they are here. Interesting game here. It's not like I trust Minnesota, but I just feel like they have a chance to surge up more in the standings than Seattle does. So for that fact, I will take them on the road. But I'm not going to put my money on it. I think this is a stay away for me at the end of the day. What do you got?
Yeah, Steve. So this
could be another overtime game, to be honest.
I was just getting ready to say that. This is a really tough game to handicap, and if that's going to be the case, you mentioned these two teams neck and neck, and that just makes things even tougher to figure out what we can or want to do here in this game. So, Steve, go ahead and throw this in the overtime ticket plus 330. I could definitely see that between these two teams. Other than that, I think you're right in the stay away. Unless we get a little bit of luck in the earlier games and we have we have a ticket that we can afford to just kind of throw away, and then maybe we'll make a late night play on this one. But a real tough handicap here. Let's take a shot with some overtime.
All right, final game on the board: the Ducks and the Kings in Los Angeles, minus 275 for the Kings. Over under 6.5. Dave, we'll start with you here. What do you got?
Oh, Kings just not very good at home this year. They're playing the Ducks, who can be very feisty at times. They might not be the greatest team, but they do come out and put up the effort. So, Steve, I don't know. This is a tough one. Give me the Kings on the 60-minute line at minus 155. Kind of seems to be the better play, even though how we just talked about, they're not their best at home. So another tough one here. Team totals. Again, the Kings are not a team that I usually see blowing things out of the water. So late night final play at 10:30 p.m. I think I just feel safer with the Kings on the 60-minute line, knowing where they're at in the standings and what they need to do to stay relevant there, and then maybe even jump up, somewhere between 1 and 3 in their division and getting out of the wild card. You got to figure that they would really, really like to do that. So give me the Kings 60-minute line. The price seems to be about right for that at minus 155, and I think that's where my comfort level lands.
It seems like simple math to me. Now, the Kings, here's what you have going for you on this future ticket, Dave, that can pay off very nicely. And if you don't know, Nephew Dave was gifted a present to me with the 49ers to win the NFC, William Byron to win the Daytona 500, and the Kings to win the Stanley Cup. Is that the right ticket, Dave? Do they have to win the West or the Stanley Cup?
They got to win the Cup.
Well, here's what you have going for you in that regard. They've only given up 150 goals on the season, which is second best to the Penguins. They're not scoring a million goals. They only have 171, which is, about average for the most part. But here's the deal. Anaheim is as bad as it gets, really, as far as scoring goes. Not exactly as bad because San Jose and Chicago are really, really bad in that regard. But just 147 goals scored for Anaheim. They have given up 200. So that will prove this is the ultimate let's just get right at home game, I think, for the Kings. Like you said, you're getting a nice price in your 60-minute line, minus 175. But go ahead and give me the Kings to light the lamp at home here. Over 3.5 goals is a minus 134. I think that leaky Anaheim defense will allow that to happen, and that will round out my ticket with the Kings over 3.5. So that is the final game. I'll go ahead and read my ticket, my bets off here in a second. But let's go ahead and throw someone in the penalty box, Dave, and then we'll go ahead and try to figure out a good goal scorer for today as we queue up our referees.
And you're trying to switch 7 guys. Mike, come on. You can't do that. Dallas Belly number 10, 2 minutes broken. 82, Tampa, tripping.
All right, who do you throw in the penalty box, Dave?
This is going to sound crazy, Steve, but with their recent play and their string of losses, and they're not going to stay there long, but I'm going to take the Dallas Stars to go in.
Wow. Yeah, they could lose the night for sure. Yep.
And that would add to their losing total. They got a really tough task tonight. Another candidate for that, Steve, would be the Tampa Bay Lightning, 2 teams that we almost never put in the penalty box.
Right. Yeah. No, never. It's usually just the bottom feeders.
So we're gonna we're gonna reverse course a little bit, and Dallas they need to get their stuff right, Steve. So unfortunately, they have landed in the penalty box on this NHL Saturday.
I'll throw a couple there for you, but beware of the Islanders to stay in the penalty box here if Tampa wins this game. They haven't been playing very well at all. Patrick Roy hasn't really gotten the ship right. So pay attention to the Islanders getting thrown in there to stay consistently inconsistent, and then maybe potentially fall out of the playoff race. And then, for good measure, we'll go ahead and throw Montreal in there as well. They've lost 4 in a row. not playing very good hockey at all, although you give them a puncher's chance today in New Jersey. All right, a good goal scorer for today. I got a good one, I think, Nephew Dave. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our game with Anaheim and the Kings, and I'm getting 2-1. If I can get my horn to go ahead and play horn. I'm going to go ahead and take Anze Kopitar, 2-1 odds for a goal today for the Kings at home, in which I think they can put an onslaught against Anaheim. Do you have a goal scorer in mind for today?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the struggling Tampa Bay Lightning and their star of Nikita Kucherov. If they're going to get back on track today, you got to figure a lot of it's going to go through him. He is in the scoring race, I believe, with Austin Matthews this year. So give me Kucherov at plus 110.
All right, so I got Kopitar at plus 200, and you have Nikita Kucherov at plus 110. All right, my ticket for today will be this. This is $10 will win $5,682 if this happens. So I got 8 plays on this ticket. We'll stretch them all day long. We'll take over 7.5, Montreal and New Jersey. We'll take the Rangers on the 60-minute line. We'll take the Capitals over 2.5 team goals. We'll take Boston and Vancouver over 6.5 goals. We'll take Toronto and Colorado over 8.5 goals. We'll take Edmonton on the 60-minute line. We'll take Nashville on the 60-minute line. And we'll go ahead and take the Kings over 3.5 team goals for them. Again, $10 wins $5,682 on that one. What are your best plays, Dave?
So, Steve, I'm going to take the Rangers on the road straight up. I'm going to take the Capitals over 2.5 team goals today. We're going to go with the minor upset of the Toronto Maple Leafs winning today on the road at plus 100. The Hurricanes straight up on the money line at minus 135. We're going to give the Oilers a chance on the puck line, the Predators a chance on the puck line, and the Kings to round it off in 60 minutes in LA tonight.
All right, I'm going to play that same exact ticket. I'll punch it in as you did it. The Kings on the 60-minute line, and let's see here. My $3 ticket on that, and we'll bump that up a little bit here. Go ahead and throw $10 on this. Why not? $986 off $10 for that one as well. All right, so we're locked into some hockey for the afternoon. Real quick look at the futures, and we'll go ahead and get out of here for this Saturday. We wish everyone good luck. Let me get to more NHL. We'll go ahead and look at the division futures right now. Real quick, Rangers minus 260, Canes plus 195 are really a 2-horse race there. Florida is your favorite, although they're in second place, minus 145. So you're getting plus 165 on the first place Bruins. Now, they must have not played the same amount of games. Let me verify that. Yeah, the Bruins have played one extra game than Florida, so Florida does have a game in hand in that regard. Maple Leafs 7-1. If you think that they can kind of crawl, I mean that's possible that the Maple Leafs could still jump all those teams. 7-1 odds for them. Winnipeg is even money. Dallas plus 200. Colorado plus 250. So a 3-horse race there. Vancouver minus 170, a favorite. Edmonton plus 250. Golden Knights 10-1. Kings 11-1. Anything stick out to you as far as the divisions go?
Yes, Steve. I have the Maple Leafs at plus 850. Sign me up there. They're hot. They look to have found their way. Austin Matthews, probably the hottest goal scorer right now. The Kings 12-1. Maybe. But let's give the Oilers the plus 240 number. Just I feel like they have more experience and they can kind of overcome those points. The Avalanche at plus 280 to win their division. I could definitely see that. And then the Metro, we're going to leave that alone. Looks like the Rangers, maybe not with ease, but I think at the end of the day, they take care of business there in their division.
As far as conference standings go, if we're going to have an all-Canadian final, it's either going to be Edmonton versus Toronto, Vancouver versus Toronto, or Winnipeg versus Toronto. So if you like the Edmonton against Toronto aspect of things, interesting. You can't parlay that this morning, but you've been able to parlay it before. So they must just have it circled for the moment. But a nice payout. How about Toronto? 18-1 on my book to win the Eastern Conference right now. That's a number I would look at.
Oh yeah, that's a nice number, Steve.
I think the Maple Leafs are very, very live, especially learning lessons of playoffs past. Maybe just get over the hump a little bit. But again, tough competition there with the Panthers and the Rangers. But that Toronto number did stick out to me, and that's why I did take them in the future at plus 1,800. Nothing really sticks out to me in the West. All those teams not paying super great. And I don't think I'm looking to get involved with anyone. I'll give your Kings a chance at 12-1 still, maybe.
Yeah, 12-1. That's a nice number.
That's a good number for them. All right. Anything else, Dave, before we get out of here?
No, I think we've got a good slate, and can't wait to get to watching.
All right, guys. Good luck on all of your tickets. And, if you're in doubt today, take some of these competitive games and just bet the overtimes. All right. And we think you might be able to get there. All right. This is What the Puck is Going On. It is February the 24th, 2024. Broadcasting live from our Chicks Beach studios in Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. For Nephew Dave, I am Uncle Steve. We wish you luck today.
What the puck is going on?
All right, man. Good job.